Hello, world. My name's Justin Fisher, and welcome to another episode of Plugged In from YAA Electric. Justice, thank you for joining me. How's it going, Justice?
Going well, going well. We had a storm blow through this weekend. So, yay, we got 24 inches of snow above me in the Sierras. So, that was great.
Oh, awesome. We had a whole bunch of rain as usual. Got some new tires on my car. I don't know if I told you about this, but
Oh,
I'll let everyone know. Yeah, I got some Michelin Cross Climate 2s. My original tires from, I don't know, 8 months ago, they're still fine. I did not burn through my tires that quickly on my Hyundai Ioniq 5. I really didn't. I promise. I'm not lying. If my eye starts twitching, let me know. But no, seriously, I kept the original tires, put them in my basement. I'll throw them back on in May. But I live on such a steep incline that even with the all-wheel drive that my Ioniq 5 has, I decided that it was best to get some basically winter tires. They're known for being feasible for every season, but I'm just going to keep them as winter tires. But they also perform quite well when the temperatures are like 70 degrees outside. So it's a really unique tire, but damn, they are not cheap. Really
yeah.
expensive, like
I mean,
$1,000.
70 degrees, that's winter in California. So,
Yeah. Well,
we would
these
need it.
tires can handle snow. They're actually snow rated. It's one of the only tires that is considered all season, but it's actually snow rated. It has the little symbol on the sidewall that is tough to get if you're a tire manufacturer. But it's also got a rubber chemistry that is suitable for warmer temperatures too. However, when it comes down to fuel economy in an electric vehicle, tires matter a lot. Well, they matter with any vehicle, but it matters more in an EV because chargers are not as commonplace as gas stations. So whenever it warms up again, which around these parts, that's May, I plan to throw the original Michelin Premises back on the car. Those are the OEM tires it came with, and I think they still got 5, maybe 8,000 miles left on them. So gonna make them last.
Nice, nice. And how many miles do you have on them right now? How many miles do you have in your car now?
15,000 on the
15.
tires, yeah, and on the car 15,500 now. But yeah, on those tires 15,000, and I think they're well. I'm confident they're gonna make it past 20,000. It's not as good as what you'd get with like a slow driving Nissan Altima, which is what I came from. However, from everything I've heard about EVs burning through tires a lot quicker, I'm pleased. I'm pleased with how they're performing. They are high quality tires, but still, I'm pleased. Yeah. So, what's new in your world? Any EV sightings in your neck of the woods?
Well, I had, yeah, there was a couple BMWs this weekend. I ran into two new Nexos, though. I know we were talking
Oh,
on Friday that there are three in my neighborhood. I ran into two more at Costco. So apparently the hydrogen stations are all back online and working because all these hydrogen fuel cell vehicles are all around me right now.
oh wow. Um, I get excited when I see like one electric vehicle per day. So I can't imagine what it's
Oh,
like to be in your neck of the woods.
I
Uh,
counted. I meant to message you over the weekend. I was at Costco. I drove through and I saw more Teslas than I'm used to. So while looking for a parking spot, I just started counting. There
oh,
were 84 Teslas in the Costco parking lot.
really?
Yeah,
84.
84.
Oh my gosh.
I meant to Slack you this weekend, but I forgot. I was just like, oh, okay. So,
84. Wow. Oh my gosh. So when I was driving down to North Carolina and back, I was excited that I saw a bunch of Teslas, several Mustang Mach-E's, Kia EV6s, one other Ioniq 5. But we saw some new numbers out from the past month for EV6 sales from Kia, and everyone's struggling except Tesla. I mean, Tesla's struggling a little bit, but
yeah.
when you're selling 1,500 vehicles per month when it comes to the EV6 and Ioniq 5, you can't really afford to take any more losses. And we've been seeing them having to cut back even further. It doesn't look like it's because of battery shortages. It's because of their overall strategy in how they're going to distribute their chip allocations. It really looks like it's the semiconductor chip issue that's affecting Hyundai and Kia's EV sales the most right now. I don't think it's batteries.
Now, and I hear the next shortage is going to be graphite.
Oh,
That
wow.
there's a shortage coming of graphite, and we don't have but one mine in the U.S. for graphite, and So, but you can
Well,
make it from used cooking oil.
did not know
And I
that.
feel like America has enough fast food places to make that work. But no, there's only one company doing that. So
Hmm.
there may be a shortage coming in the future on that.
I was gonna say just confiscate every school kid's pencils, but I guess that works too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't use pencils in school anymore. I don't think.
Good point. Well, our headline today is going to be talking about some automakers who are really walking back their previous commitments to accelerate electrification of their lineup. Um, th- I mean, Justice, who are the automakers we're talking about today? We've got a few.
Yeah, well, it's so you got Mazda, you got Subaru, which has an interesting excuse for
McDonald's.
not doing it. Yeah, because McDonald's pays too much. I looked into their claims. I cannot substantiate their claims um, that McDonald's workers get paid $25 an hour. Uh, I don't know where they're looking for that.
Yeah.
Uh, who else do we got? We got well, mainly we have Japanese and Korean automakers really protesting the IRA tax uh, exclusions and sort of pushing back against that. Toyota says if this doesn't get changed and fixed, which a bill was introduced this morning to fix it, but if it doesn't get changed and fixed, then it could slow adoption of EVs in America.
Yeah, I'd say that's the inevitable that we're heading towards. I mean, I would say EV adoption in America has already slowed because of the effects of the chip shortage and how that drove up overall prices. And when the average EV price is about 65 grand, that's what it's at right now. That's not going to lead to mass adoption quickly. I think it's still going to happen. Quite confident it's still going to happen. I mean, when you just consider what the automakers are saying, their lineup will look like in 2030. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen on the front of new vehicle sales. The used combustion and hybrid market is going to be very strong in
Yeah.
6-7 years time. I'm sure those in the chat would agree with us. Let us know what you think if you're joining us live. It's great to see all of you here today. um, what's the used combustion vehicle market going to look like in 2030? I imagine it's going to be some pretty lofty prices because there's going to be a lot of people who are cornered into the decision of, am I going to spend, I don't know, 25 grand on a 2020, let's say Chevy Tahoe in 2030. Okay, let's say it's going to go for 25 grand. Or am I going to fork over $65,000 for an electric vehicle? I hope that is not where we're headed, but it really seems like it is. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the news article you pulled up. So, let's talk Subaru because I think this one is interesting. As a Subaru owner, we own a 2014 Subaru Forester. Only complaint is it burns a lot of oil. Doesn't have great gas mileage, and we don't really drive it anymore now that we have an EV because it's expensive to drive something that gets like 24 miles per gallon around. Yeah, Subaru says it can't afford to build electric vehicles in North America because McDonald's pays too well. Most automakers are announcing plans to build EVs in America because of the massive piles and piles of incentives brought on by the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. However, Subaru and a few of their Japanese colleagues, would you say, competitors like Mazda,
Competitors.
they
Yeah.
have not yet announced plans for a North American factory, citing how expensive it is to pay people to do the work here in the United States. Now, Justice, I understand you looked into this. What did you find?
Well, so they're saying that McDonald's workers get, if you, it's somewhere in that article, they're saying McDonald's workers get $25 an hour, which is what they pay at Subaru. And I just went on to Glassdoor and started looking up because they even mention where the plant is. I think it was South Carolina. Um, so I went on Glassdoor and tried to prove that to be true. General managers make $25 an hour, which, as someone who worked in restaurants for 30 years as a general manager in California, that's insane, by the way. Don't do that job for $25 an hour. But workers do not make. They get $14 to $16 an hour.
In
So
California?
I'm not. No, in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
No. So I don't know where they're coming up with this unless they're only looking at McDonald's general managers. I don't know where they're getting this number from.
Personally, I would pay more for my Happy Meal and a quarter pounder if the employees could make more. Because I know that the McDonald's here in my small town advertises what they pay on a piece of paper stuck to the window in the drive-through, and they pay $11 an hour for just general positions. And yeah, I'd pay more if the employees could get paid more. But Subaru, come on now, Subaru. Are they just like giving up on the Solterra? Whatever happened to their ambitions with the Solterra? I'm a fan of it if it's in the rear. Well, they don't offer a rear-wheel drive Solterra. I'm thinking of the BZ4X.
Yeah.
The Solterra is nice on paper, but owning it would be a real pain in the ass because they're saying that it's going to be built for rugged outdoor adventures. However, if you've got 227 miles of range and it takes an hour to charge, I mean, it's dead in the water to me, but hoping for something more to come from Subaru.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to get in there. I mean, Subaru is a great company, so it's
Yeah.
hard for me to talk anything bad about them at all.
Me too.
I mean, they're amazing company. I put people in Subarus all day long without ever feeling bad. I mean, they're great. But I think Subaru's got to, like Toyota is, they're going to have to rethink their EV strategy and get on this because, now Europe's adopting all these laws, and whatever we feel about lawmakers making laws about these things, it is what's happening, and car makers have to adjust to get there. They can't just sell in India.
Yeah, how much of Subaru does Toyota own? Do we know?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Googling it. Wow. Okay. So in 2020, Toyota increased its stake in Subaru from 17% to 20%. So Toyota now owns 1/5 of Subaru. Now, I was thinking of that because Learning Fast in the chat says they're going to hang their hat on hybrid. I mean, what do you think, Justice? Shaking your head.
Toyota's literally had a whole bunch of insiders saying no. Toyota's completely rethinking their strategy and going to be heading full bore into the full EV sector. So I think we'll hear that in 2023, early, probably Q1 2023, what their plans are. But a lot of executives who don't want to be named have come forward and said, after Tesla's Q3 earnings reports, Toyota's rethinking the whole strategy.
Now, here's what I'm thinking is how long is that going to take to redo that whole strategy? Because I imagine we're not going to see the product of these realignments until like 2025, maybe 2026.
Yeah, you can't just make a switch instantaneously, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think they had like 30 models that they were going to do, and I think they're paring it down to make it more simplified so they can get there.
Yeah, and I think this is a good point from Maurice in the chat. They'll have to form partnerships to survive. We've been seeing that over and over again, and it seems like lately everyone's partnering with none other than Foxconn. If you've got an iPhone in your pocket, Foxconn probably built it, and now Foxconn's going to be building more electric vehicles. There's a new partnership that's got BMW involved somehow.
BMW, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
The country is going to start making cars through Foxconn.
Wow. Do they have a name announced for that yet? I'm going to go ahead and look that up.
Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like they did.
Pulling it up now. But Lordstown, which was, it was full of ambitions and hopes, but now it's going to be relegated to fleet vehicles, electric trucks that are meant for fleets. Lordstown, Ohio, a famous manufacturing hub. Well, now it's the home of Lordstown Electric Motors, and Foxconn is building that electric truck for them. So Fisker's also going to be relying on Foxconn for their second fully electric model, the Fisker Pear. And now here is the news out of Saudi Arabia, courtesy of TechCrunch. So Foxconn and Saudi Arabia are going into the EV business. This is interesting because Saudi Arabia has like piles of money from oil, and now they're going into EVs. They're calling it Seer, CEER. So, yeah, to me it sounds more like Lear, which is an airplane manufacturer. But yeah,
A very nice one.
very nice one. Seer is the name of the brand, and it's expected to bring an EV to market in 2025. That is pretty
Which is
quick.
fast. Yeah, that's really fast for starting. But I guess that's where the partnership with Foxconn comes, right? And maybe
Yeah.
that's the good strategy is Foxconn can tool up and make stuff quick.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time because just a few years ago, the Saudi Public Investment Fund invested $1 billion into Lucid. So, Saudi Arabia's investment fund is literally the largest shareholder of Lucid Motors. Yes, the one right here in the United States. So, pretty interesting. Yeah. So, oh, wow, they own 61% of Lucid. That's amazing. I did not know it was that high.
And to be clear, Foxconn has plants in the United States as well as in Asia. So
Yeah.
it's not just the one place.
Yes, and I don't know where they're at in the United States. Not, other than the one in Lordstown, Ohio that I just mentioned. I'm not sure if they have others.
I know they're buying some plants. I don't know if they have in Wisconsin. That's the one that we know about. Let's see. Here, I'll look it up while you're, because I know they're buying other plants in the U.S.
Oh, I've got a little bit of trivia for you. See if I can pull it up without giving it away. It's a question for everyone in the chat and for you, Justice, especially for you. Let's see. I've got an EV prototype, and I want to see if you can let me know what it is, because I would not be able to answer this if you were presenting this to me. All right, image coming here in about 5 seconds. Get ready, everyone. What is this EV? Name this EV. And it relates to what we're talking about, Justice. So that's your hint.
Oh, I mean, it looks like a Toyota. So
It does. It does look like a Toyota.
Hey.
All right. Let us know. Do you know what this is? Okay, I'm going to give you one
the
more clue.
Foxtron?
No, kinda. It's actually
Foxtron
it is.
4.
It is. Okay, so that's funny. Now I look like a fool because it was also going by the name of Yulon, which was the manufacturer in Taiwan. Yeah, it's the Model C.
Model C, yeah.
The Foxtron Model C that Foxconn is going to build. So just yet another example of how Foxconn iPhone maker is getting deep into the EV game with multiple players. And I wonder how Tesla feels. I'm sure they don't care at this point. Foxtron took the name Model C.
Tesla, well, but so that's just Foxconn's name for their vehicles. They won't be released under those names. They're not going to be released under Foxtron. That is basically they're releasing their concept cars to sell to automakers. So the Foxtron Model E could become a Mazda EV.
Okay, so that explains why it also goes by
Why?
Yulon. So
Yes.
I guess it's going to be the Yulon Model C unless they change the name.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to release Model C in the US.
Yes, I see here. Now you're teaching me, Justice, live on the air. So it says that it's based on the Model C platform.
Mm-hmm.
They'll pick a pretty name.
Yeah.
Interesting
So
stuff.
the Foxtron is not a real manufacturer. That's just them doing their little platforms and saying, "Hey, look, you can build on this, you can build on this, you can build on this. We have all these available. So if you want to get, say, you're Saudi Arabia and you want to start making cars in 3 years, you can just pick one of these platforms and we'll start building your car."
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
Yep. If you were watching the noon show with Ray and Zach, you might have heard a little bit about Ford. Now, Justice, I did not make it to today's show. How deep did they go into the whole Ford dealer mess?
A little bit, and I mean, they explained it, but not everyone here is from there,
Yeah.
so we can
Yeah.
certainly touch onto it.
I'm gonna hop on over there. So, if you may recall that a few months ago, Ford presented all dealers in the United States with a few options. They can either become Model E certified elite or just Model E certified. And the difference is going to be how much money the dealership has to spend in charging infrastructure investments on site in order to continue selling EVs. Otherwise, they're going to be relegated to Ford Model Blue, which is combustion vehicles only. I'm sure some dealers would be okay with that, but yeah, looks like the dealers are starting to push back. Not surprised at all, but I wonder what the implications of this will be. Now, to get into the specifics, certified storefronts, so Model E certified, aka like base level, they would have to install about $500,000 worth of upgrades to have at least one publicly available DC fast charger. That's cool. I don't know if I would want to go charge my Hyundai Ioniq 5 at a Ford dealership. Maybe someone would. But clearly it's to try to lure you into the dealership. Now imagine this, everyone. Okay, close your eyes. Imagine this, everyone. Taking your beautiful EV, let's say it's a Kia EV6, Tesla Model S, taking your EV out for a drive, and you decide you need a charge. So you pull into a Ford dealership. You plug in, you're excited because it offers level 3 charging. It's fast. And just as you get back in your car, you are swarmed by about 3 different salespeople wanting to pitch you the next F-150 Lightning for about 150 grand. I don't know if I'd want to charge at a dealership just because I imagine they would be trying really hard to sell their products while I'm trapped in my car charging. Do you agree?
I If dealerships still work like that now, I'm in a big enough city that we don't have like main street dealerships,
They work like that where I
so
live.
it would, yeah. So it would depend, because here you have to go to like an auto mall. So
Hmm.
this would be very inconvenient. Like you would never just drive there to charge your vehicle because it's just out of the way and inconvenient. And when I was in sales, to be fair, we had ups, so we would just go in turn. So you would only ever be approached by one person.
Ah, interesting.
So yes, I would not ever want to deal with that though. Even one person is annoying if I'm going there to charge my vehicle.
Yeah, and much of the rest of the nation, I'm confident that that's how it would play out.
Oof.
Don't wish that upon anyone.
Mm.
But certified elite Model E dealerships will have to invest $1.2 million in a few DC fast chargers that are public facing. It'll be a part of Ford's Blue Oval network. So I don't know, maybe 6 months ago at this point, could have been longer than that. I remember Ford announcing their Ford Blue Oval charging network, and sounds great, right? But we knew there must be more to the story, and it turns out this is the more to the story, which is that Ford's Blue Oval network is going to essentially be at their dealerships nationwide. I don't know. Got mixed feelings about this.
Yeah, I keep they're saying like 1.5 million to do this. How much does it cost to build a car dealership? Because it
I don't know.
doesn't seem like that's all that much, honestly, for a car dealership. 1.5 million. Like, of course, to small business owner, that seems like a lot. And for a used car dealership, that seems like a lot. But if you have one of these bright, shiny new Ford dealerships, is $1.5 million a lot for you to invest? It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I asked Ray about this one time, and he said it's not a lot. But I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like it's also just trying to compare apples to oranges because I live in southern West Virginia. We've got 2 Ford dealerships in the region. They don't look very large. And I'm from Texas where we've got those massive Ford dealerships. And I imagine to them 1.2 million would not be anything to stress over. But I feel like to the guy down the street, it might be. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about both dealerships and cars. We keep saying this about cars too. The $65,000 EVs too expensive.
Hmm.
And I go, for those who don't know, outside of this, I'm also in real estate, and I think about, so real estate in your area, Justin, is much cheaper than real estate in my area. but we have high incomes in my area to offset that, right? So like
somewhat. Yeah.
our In-N-Out burger does start at $21 an hour to just serve burgers.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a big difference there. So $65,000 vehicle here is not as expensive as it is where you are, and yet vehicle prices are the same all over the nation.
Yeah.
So that becomes an interesting prospect of for dealers to invest the money. 1.5 million in California is whatever. Who cares? That's nothing. That's operating expense, right? 1.5 million in West Virginia, probably a lot more. $65,000 car in West Virginia is a lot of money.
Yeah.
$65,000 car in California,
Yeah, I feel less weird about driving around my $56,000 Ioniq 5 Limited because I've noticed how many fancy trucks there are on the road here. And if you stop by that Ford dealership I mentioned, those trucks cost like 80, 90 grand. So I
yeah,
was,
trucks are expensive. Like even
yeah.
here, like I've known people who did construction and buy these trucks. They're really expensive.
Yeah, you mentioned what can you get for like $1 million, $1.5 million. Interestingly enough, I was looking at land prices, not because I'm about to go buy a bunch of land, but maybe someday. And just down the road from me, for $1.2 million, you can buy 1,100 acres. And this isn't this isn't like barren desert. This is beautiful forests with like streams, goes to a mountaintop. 1,000 acres for $1.2 million. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Come on
last
over,
weekend,
Justice.
yeah. Meanwhile, last weekend we sold a house up in Folsom, right above me, over here, which is a nice area, but not super rich. $380 a square foot is what we're going for now
Oh, wow.
in a general suburb of Sacramento. I'm not in
That
the Bay Area. I'm not in Los Angeles.
is a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Learning Fast in the chat reminded me about VinFast, and I just posted a little question into the chat. Have you seen any VinFast developments on the ground? Let us know, because I know you're in North Carolina. Anyone else who might be in North Carolina, have you seen any developments? Because in a regional business journal, it looks like VinFast is about to start construction. Like, this article was out last week. They're about to break ground on their new Chatham County, North Carolina production facility where they're going to build the VinFast VF8 and VF9 electric SUVs. The VF9 is a 3-row SUV. Remember, the thing that's a little bit weird about VinFast is that you either have to pay an additional, like, it's a lot of money, an additional several $1,000s to buy your battery along with the car, or pay between $150 and $200 a month to rent your battery from them, in addition to paying for the car. I don't know. Anyways, I'm happy that it's bringing about 7,000 jobs to North Carolina. That is great. And they have a pretty quick timeline, Justice. It says they want to start production of VinFast EVs in North Carolina by summer 2024. When you think about all that has to go into building a factory that will employ 7,000 workers, 2024 is just around the corner.
Yeah, it's and it's an interesting strategy because all 6 of their showrooms that are open are in California, and they are building their vehicles literally clear across the entire country.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's the power of local tax incentives, I guess, tax breaks.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah, you don't
And
get tax breaks in California, so
something that I recommend everyone think about if they're considering buying in the future, like a VinFast EV or a Fisker EV, even Lucid, and to an extent, this even applies to Tesla still, Rivian as well. If you're going to buy one of these so-called startup EVs, you need to think about how you're going to get it to a maintenance facility, if that ever is needed, which it probably will be needed at some point, whether it's for a recall or something breaks. Tesla is 3 hours from where I live. I'm one of the few parts of the country where that's still the case. Tesla has a lot of service centers, but
they have mobile service too. So do they have mobile service in your area?
That's a good question. I know a Model 3 owner down the road, one of the only ones around here, and I'm going to ask him. That's a good question. But I know Rivian also has a mobile service network, but I don't know what the range that they will roam is, because when it comes to Rivian, I wonder where the nearest service center would be. But yeah, think about that. Keep that in mind if you're considering purchasing an EV from a startup or even Tesla. I'm not trying to dissuade you, but it is important to think about if you live far from a major urban center like I do. Yep. Pretty
That is
interesting stuff.
definitely something to think about. I know a lot of those issues get lost on me. I live in a bubble, but it's important to take all that into consideration. Charging network, and if a recall ever does happen, how far are you going to have to drive,
Yeah.
and can you drive it?
Or yeah, get
Like,
it to a truck. That's expensive.
yeah, the BZ4, right? You couldn't drive it to a service center.
Oh, the BZ4X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, you would have to have towed it. Now, in this case, it's a Toyota, so that's not hard. But, like, if that happened to a Lucid, how far are you from where you could tow your Lucid? Like,
I'm gonna look it up.
it's a concern.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up right now. I even encountered this to a minor extent with my Hyundai Ioniq 5. Hyundai, massive brand. I've got a Hyundai dealership just 5 miles from here, but guess what? They are not yet Ioniq 5 certified. So I had to go an extra 45 minutes to a different Hyundai dealership to get my Ioniq 5 recall taken care of months ago. So yeah, it depends on if the major OEM dealerships are prepared to service the vehicle. Something you got to keep in mind. But if you live in a population center, you're unlikely to encounter any issues. All right, we're going to wrap up the show with this example from Lucid. It's fascinating. Justice, you'll probably be surprised. Here are Lucid service centers and studios. I thought there would be a little bit more, a few more. I would have thought there'd be like 20% more. But the nearest one to me is 5.5 hours away in Washington, D.C.
Is that only one in all of Canada?
It looks like it's up in Vancouver. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep, that's it. No, they've got one in Toronto.
Okay. Oh, two. Never mind then.
But yeah, so I live right here, and I'd have to go 5 hours the way these roads are twisty turnies to get my Lucid serviced. But hey, those are first world problems, right? If you can afford $120,000 Lucid Air, I guess you can afford to find a way to get it to DC 5 hours away for service, huh?
But this is also points out the ever-growing need for the right to repair. A fight
Okay.
that's been going on for a long time, and independent mechanics should be able to be trained and certified to repair these vehicles. So you don't have to drive to a Lucid Center. You should be able to drive to your local mechanic and get these done. But the right to repair seems to be losing its battle at the moment. We'll see where it goes. But
Yeah.
as more and more EVs come online and this is an issue, the issue grows larger and it kind of does need to be addressed.
Yep, I agree. It's the power of the dealer lobby, I'd imagine.
You know,
So this is something that you got to keep in mind if you're thinking about buying a Fisker. I'm a huge fan of the Fisker Ocean. I love what it has on paper. Haven't seen one in person yet. The only Fisker brand experience centers so far are in Los Angeles, California, San Francisco coming soon, Chicago coming soon, New York City coming soon, and Miami coming soon. And then there's some in Europe. So yeah, that's not a lot.
that's not even a lot near me.
That's like 4.
Yeah. I'm in the epicenter and I still have to drive.
Yeah, so there are 5 total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep that in mind, you guys. Well, Justice, thank you. It's been a great show, and we'll be back on Wednesday with something to talk about.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, thank
Hopefully
you,
some
everyone.
news comes out.
Yeah, see you guys in a few days.